Hello, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Cube Vlog. This, as promised, is my Conspiracy Take the Crown additions to the Vintage Cube. Now, I forewarn you, like I said, I'm not, a master of Vintage Cubes, so I've made mistakes. Maybe I overvalued certain cards, undervalued certain cards. There aren't that many that I want to put in, so that'll give you an indication of where I'm at. And I want to kind of do this quickly because I already did a video and it didn't effing record. So let's go through the cards. First card, Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. 1 green green for a 2/3 in green. Legendary creature, Elf Scout. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. Sorry, that's a mouthful. Basically, if a creature enters the battlefield and it has the greatest power of all creatures, out of all the creatures in the battlefield, that controller draws a card. Now, because you're going to be in green, the assumption is that you're always going to get the value out of that first ability. The second ability is tap 1 green and Selvala. Add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So Selvala on an empty board is still a ramp creature. You tap 1 green and you get 2 mana of any color because she has 2 power, which is super cool. So she slots right into the green ramp deck. So I really like this card. We'll have to watch out to see how much advantage opponents are able to take. How much opponents are able to take advantage of her first ability. I assume that the green player playing Selvala will have the upper hand in that battle. So we'll see. Seems like a great card. Next card, Volatile Chimera. So it's a 2 and a red for a 3/2 Chimera. Before you shuffle your deck to start the game, you may reveal this card from your deck and exile 3 or more creature cards you drafted that aren't in your deck. So you're going to have 3 creature cards at least. You're going to exile into the exile zone. They're not going to be a part of your deck. And then Volatile Chimera has the ability, 1 in a red, and choose a card at random you exiled with Volatile Chimera. And this Volatile Chimera becomes a copy of that card at random. So let's say you have 2 Eldrazi cards and a Venser. You shuffle them up, randomize, and you get that card. Now, the unfortunate thing is it doesn't get enter the battlefield effect, so the Eldrazi with their Annihilator thing is a really nice little effect. Cards with activated abilities are really good, but not really ETB creatures. So, I'm interested to see how this turns out. Looks like a cool card, so I'm interested. Next card, Sovereign's Realm. Now I know this is kind of out there, and I would admit that I have no idea how this is going to play out. If this is broken or really just unplayable. Let's read it. It's a conspiracy, so you start the game with this conspiracy face up in the command zone. Your deck can't have basic land cards, and your starting hand size is 5. What that means off the bat is that you're playing with almost all the cards that you draft. So you can't even make any mistakes. You can exile a card from your hand this turn. You may play basic land cards from outside the game. I believe you're still restricted to 1 land per turn because you can't play more than 1 land a turn. And basic lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So you start with a hand of 5, and you can exile cards out of your hand to play lands from a pile, let's say on the side. So you exile a random card, you add an island, but that can tap for any mana, and then you can play stuff in your hand. So you're never going to be mana screwed, but you're kind of your card advantage is reduced. I think that makes sense. Your reduced hand size is by 2, so your mana is always going to be perfect. It's just a question of how you play your cards. So I think it's an interesting little thing to try out. I don't know if it's going to stay. It's a little wonky, but it also it plays a part of Magic that we've never seen before. And a lot of people have actually compared it to Hearthstone, which is kind of funny. Next card, Recruiter of the Guard. Unanimously, the community has said this is a card to put in the cube. So 2 and a white for a 1/1 human soldier, and when Recruiter of the Guard enters the battlefield, you search your library for a creature card. You may, with toughness 2 or less, reveal it and put it into your hand. So it's similar to Imperial Recruiter, and it checks toughness, so there's a ton of cards that you can get with it. Things that come to mind: Muldrifter, the new Thalia, old Thalia, obviously. A ton of cards, Venser. Anyways, there's a slew of cards with 2 toughness in the cube that you really want to get your hands on. So Recruiter of the Guard seems like a cool card. It seems really exceptionally good in white-blue bounce, or a white-red bounce, so could be cool. I'm looking forward to trying to get a hold of this and playing with this card. Daretti, Ingenious Iconoclast. So as of the moment, Rakdos does not have a Planeswalker in Vintage Cube, and I wonder if this is a card that we can see. Let's just see what it does. So it's 1 red and a black for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker, +1, put a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with Defender into the battlefield. Not bad. Defends itself, I guess. -1, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, destroy target artifact or creature. Super cool. So this card's a build around. It's an artifact build around. And as you know, Vintage Cube has a lot of artifact build around. So there's all the signets, there's all the mana rocks, there's tons of artifacts in Vintage Cube. So this really works out. And it produces its own artifacts, so you don't have to worry about that. -6, choose target artifact card in a graveyard or artifact on the battlefield. Put 3 tokens that are copies of it into the battlefield. Super cool. So Daretti comes down super, like, not super, but pretty early. One of the earliest of any Planeswalkers, right? At 3 casting cost, so it's pretty early, especially with if you have mana rocks in the cube. I can see this coming out turn 2 fairly often, and getting to -6 doesn't seem like too tough, as long as your opponent's not on an aggressive strategy. So I think this is a cool card. I am very interested to try it out. I feel like it kind of goes with the other Daretti, with Goblin Welder maybe. So you're kind of like flinging around artifacts to the graveyard to play, etc., etc. Last card that I'm thinking about is Grenzo Havoc Razor. So this is 2/2 for 2. Just making sure my stupid thing's recording still. It's 2/2 for 2. Yes, it's 2 red. It's mana intensive, but if you're playing mono red, you don't care. So it reads: whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose one. So any creature deals combat damage to a player. Any creature you control, sorry. So whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you choose one. Goad target creature that player controls. Goad means you force that creature to attack you. Well, attack a player this next turn, but in the heads up it's going to be you. So the next turn, that creature that you've chosen has to attack. Or you can exile a top card of that player's library, the player that got damage. Until end of turn, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. Super cool. It is seems a lot like there's a red card for 2 that we already have in the cube. Let's see. It is called the Abbot of Carol Keep. Very similar. It's like a reverse Abbot of Carol Keep, because you're playing not reverse but like opposite, because you're casting stuff off of their library. I don't know how good that's going to be, because your deck, clearly if you're playing Abbot of Carol Keep, your deck is streamlined to play cards off the top as such. Whereas if you're taking it off the top of target player's library, you might get like I said, storm cards, or like random like Eldrazi cards, or just cards that just do nothing, like counter spells and stuff like that. So we'll have to see how this works, because it's until end of turn, so the card gets exiled. So anyways, I think it's still an interesting card. Still 2/2 for 2, which is not a loss in mono red, and it seems like it could be an interesting thing. There are a couple of cards that I had as honorable mentions, such as like Kaya. There were some other cards as well, but I think all in all, these are the cards that would affect the cube the most. I'm still gonna look at other people's cubes and what they're doing and see what I missed. A Stunt Double, another cool card. Forticast 00. It's a clone, but it has flash, so uh, they're trying to make clones better. But I mean, the Phyrexian Metamorph and the Phantasmal Image are just way too good in the cube, so I don't think that, you know, is a valid card at this juncture. And that's about it, I think. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was kind of quick because I did a whole video for half an hour and then the effing thing didn't record. So that's it. So Calydus is around the corner next week, and I'll probably try to put some time aside for that. I also have to put time aside for my the Rambros cube. That's the one with all the multicolor cycles, but that has nothing to do with this. I just have to put the time in because it's damn kind of time consuming. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys real soon. Take care.